lovely to be over here. Can you hear me behind? Yeah. Thank you. Usually people start walking away very quickly, so I was a little afraid that all of you will suddenly disappear and I will not realize that you can't hear me, but I would think that my speech is not worth hearing, so you ran away. So anyway, thank you for acknowledging what it is. It's really nice to be over here, and it's fun to be with students because I want to tell you that the best part of life is what you are having here today. So when you look forward to be whatever you become in your future of your life, let me honestly warn you, and this is a severe warning, that the best part of your life is the student days, so just enjoy yourself. Please, I tell you, there is no compensation. Having said that, unfortunately, I finished my school career, college career 40 plus years ago. So that's a hell of a long time. And there are a couple of things which I have learned over a period of the years that have happened to me. And have actually shocked the life out of me. And so I'm going to share a few of those thinking and telling you what the expectations are when you walk out of college and how the world wants to see an engineer. Let's say I am falling sick and I want to go to a doctor. Alright, I've got a bad chest. So I go to the doctor and he says, oh, you got a common cold. But actually I've got influenza. I've got a stomach pain. And he says, you must have eaten some food over there, कुछ भेलपुरी चौपाटी पर खाया होगा, कहाँ से खाया होगा, इसलिए पेट दुखता है. Drop in this pill whatsoever. Let's presume that you have some difficulty in terms of you have constipation and you think that the doctor will give you a diagnosis and you have 3 different doctors treating you. And let's presume that you have a serious disease of your lungs and the doctor has not correctly diagnosed you and has just given you a crocin or something to take care of your problem. Or you have a stomach pain and you have not been diagnosed correctly by this doctor, or he doesn't give you correct medicine, or he gives you inadequate medicine because he doesn't care. He doesn't have interest in you to the extent that he should be. He should be a concerned doctor, don't you think? Don't you go to a doctor thinking that he will be a good professional and that he knows his subject extremely well and that every time he sees a patient, whether it's an ordinary cough and cold, whether it's a stomach pain whatsoever, or he has a serious disease like cancer or any other disease, what do you expect from the doctor? You expect that the doctor will be thoroughly professional and expertise. It doesn't matter whether he's got 50% marks in his college. It doesn't matter if he was not a great student. It doesn't matter whatever it is. But what is my expectation? That he is a professional doctor. I have gone to him. I have paid my professional fees to the doctor. And still, I don't get the professional advice correctly. So I'm not treated for a serious lung disease. I'm not treated for cancer. I'm not treated for other things which are extremely serious. Or even if he has diagnosed it correctly, he neglects. He says, "Dawai, tum itna le lo, ye barabar ho jayega," and he puts a diagnostic treatment after doing a few tests here and there and gives you a diagnosis and takes the things from you. What happens at the end of the day? How would you feel about such a doctor? I'd feel horrible. I would really, really be horrified. Can you imagine you're going to a doctor, you want to be treated, your health is important and all this is important. Believe you me, my friends, after going in the outside world every professional should be exactly like you would expect from a doctor. So if you graduate as an engineer, or when you graduate as an engineer, and you go out in the outside world, people should look up to you for your professional expertise. They should feel that, hey, I am talking to an engineer. That's the pride that we should take place over there. It shouldn't be such, वो engineers हमारे देश में है ना, वो potholes बनाते हैं, road नहीं बनाते, क्या? Potholes बनाते हैं, मकान नहीं बनाते हैं, वो loose plaster गिरता है ना, वो है, plumbing अच्छा नहीं करते हैं, वो पूरा leakages होते हैं, क्यों? Why is it that when we look at the professionalism that we need from a doctor would be different than what you need from an engineer? So my friends, let me share with you that when we got into the trade of real estate, and I'm a chartered accountant by qualifications, I have the same expectations from an engineer that I would have a doctor. I would also feel that when I'm going to a civil engineer or any other engineer, whether a production engineer, a mechanical engineer, any engineer, electrical engineer, it doesn't matter what engineer you're talking about. He or she will give me the same professional expertise that I would expect from my doctor who would look after me. Once we agree to that thought process, my friends, we will have no problem in our lives to attend to professional expertise. Because once you are treated as a professional in any field of endeavor that you do, whether it's a chartered accountant, whether it's a doctor, whether it's an engineer, whether he's an airspace engineer, or he's a road engineer, or a building engineer, or a production engineer, he must be professional in his approach. And what does that mean? I am certain that the students from VJTI will be professional and not like those other engineers that we see outside. I promise you I wouldn't come over here if I thought that I would be speaking to people who will be the dirt of engineers or the persons who make the worst part of things into the products of this country, because I know for the fact that the future of the young people is going to be different in India, and they do not look back. We will look forward to make a great country into the whole thing. So what is it that requires for the purposes of it? So over a period of time, I've been thinking, what does the professional person do? Now I'm a chartered accountant. What do I do? How do I remain updated? I qualified more than 40 years ago. I'm an old guy, I'm 69 years old, so just sharing with you that my knowledge in the Institute of Chartered Accountant is pretty dated. It's pretty old. So I don't know what it was then, but I know what it was then because I studied and passed that damn examination. And I'm sure you will too. But is that enough? That 40 years ago or 45 years ago, what I learned in my colleges or in the Institute of Chartered Accountants professional exam is something which will be good for the rest of my life. And I learned over a period of years that there are several things every profession. It doesn't matter whether he is a chartered accountant, whether he is an engineer, whether he is a doctor, whether he is a space scientist. It doesn't matter what engineer or professional he is. There are certain criteria you must remember for the rest of your life. The first criterion is that knowledge has to be updated, not information. Information you can get on Google. It is knowledge updation that you need to do over a period of your whole life, that you need to continue to learn. And I want to give you an example of my own father. My father was a doctor. He was an ENT specialist, and he lived till the age of 96. And I'll go backward. At the age of 82, I met him early morning one day. 82 years old, ENT surgeon. My father was still operating at that point of time. and we were chatting early in the morning, having a cup of tea together. And he tells me, he said, Niranjan, you know, I want to go to Germany to learn a new operation. I said, Dad, are you gone mad? You're 82 years old. Why do you want to go and learn a new operation? Now my father was a Padma Bhushan awardee, a Dhanvantri winner. He had operated thousands and thousands of operations. There are 2 operations in the ENT field named after my father. He created those operations. But yet, at the age of 82, he tells his son that I want to go to Germany to learn an operation. So I said, which doctor? So he said, Dr. Plester. I said, wasn't that doctor who came to you 5 years ago or 7 years ago to learn your operation for learning over there? And he says, yeah, you remember him? We met him and we went to Wellington Club for dinner together. So I said, fantastic. Why would you now want to learn from a guy who came to learn from you? He said, you can learn from anybody. It's a learning which you will always do. He has created a new operation. I'm going to go, and my father at age 82 went and learned a new operation from Dr. Plester in Germany at age 82. Knowledge has no end. The second most important thing which I thought I must share with you, my friends, is the fact that we must learn to connect with the real world. There's an illusionary world that we live under and the real world that we do. So, when we work on the theory of whatever subjects we do, whether it's chartered accountancy, whether it is medicine, whether it is engineering, there are lots of things where we talk about the theory and the practice. This is extremely important to understand that when we don't integrate the two completely, we live in an unreal world. And that is the simple reason why I was very happy to learn just when I came in that production engineers have to do 6 weeks of internship. That's grossly inadequate. Every engineer must do at least, I repeat, at least 6 months of internship, even if it's after first year, second year, third year, it doesn't matter which year you do. Any person who comes out of an engineering college and has not done any internship whatsoever is an incomplete engineer because he doesn't have the touch and feel of the subjects you are. So I recommend very, very strongly to each and every one of you, don't leave the opportunity of doing internship. It doesn't matter which year, whether it's after the last year, if it's after the first year, second year, whatsoever. The more you are in touch with the subjects that you are doing on the actual ground thing, you will run and learn a 10x multiple. So if your knowledge in the ground and your subject is X, it gets multiplied tenfold when you actually use it. Anything that you do. I know how to exercise, okay? I know very well how to exercise. But if I don't exercise, how much do I know? 0. Because there is no multiplier to knowing what you're exercising. The day you practice exercising, you get a multiple. And if you exercise regularly, you get a 10x multiple, and it's unending amount of multiples that you will possibly get. So please try and see whatever is your subject. It doesn't matter whatever it is, even if it's not going to be relevant in the future of the exact thing that you are catering for, the linkage of going and working in the industry with internship is going to be 100 multiple according to me. If I have become an entrepreneur, it was because after the first year, second year, third year of my BCom course, I worked in a textile factory, I worked into a tile factory, I worked in a business house. I learned Parta in one of the Birla companies, and I learned all these things for 4 years. So I automatically got the himmat to take up entrepreneurship into the whole thing. So we must all try and see how we can do these linkages on the ground, and this is extremely important. The next most important thing is that we need to work to perfection. I know it sounds funny, but it's like that. You want to target the moon, you have to have a certain angle of growing. If you move it by 0.01 degrees and go wrong, you will miss the moon. You will go into space and somewhere else, but you can't go close to the moon or catch the rocket to do. Engineering is about perfection. There is no difficulty in being perfect, and there is no compensation for being imperfect. You cannot afford to be imperfect in anything that you do. Let me tell you my own story. 1989, I went and started my Powai project. 87 I started, but in 89 I started a discussion with my engineering team, which had a person over there who was pretty senior. And I told him, I shared with him my ambition and aspiration of what I want to do in Powai. I told him I don't want a single building to leak. No roof should leak. No walls should leak. No bathroom should leak. And not today. It should never leak, irrespective of what happened. And of course, I was the boss of the company. So he said, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. वो हाँ मिलाने में क्या जाता है ना, अपना बाप का क्या जाता है? वो हाँ बोल के वो निकल गया. So he went out and I could hear him laughing outside. पागल हो गया हमारा boss. क्या perfect कभी होता है? I worked in that big company and that big company and that big company all my life. I joined now here as chief engineer. मुझे पता है यार, बिल्डिंग तो हमेशा 5 साल के बाद लीकिंग होता है, टेरेसेस तो लीक होता ही है, कंसील प्लम्बिंग साफ तो चाहिए, कंसील प्लम्बिंग 4 साल के अंदर वो पाइप तो खराब होता ही है, ऐसा किसे नहीं हो सकता. It is going to leak and this is what has happened. And I heard that, overheard it because somebody chuglified on it. So I came to know that he was thinking that way. And I believe you me, I couldn't sleep for many days because I just couldn't understand why my chief engineer, who has got 25-30 years of experience, should talk, even think of talking like that. When I have an aspiration, when I want to make a building which doesn't leak, when I want to create a building which is perfect, why is it that the head of my engineering team does not want to collaborate to the purposes of doing it? It's because we have an attitude that हम नहीं कर सकते. हमारे साथ बिल्डिंग अच्छे बन ही नहीं सकते. हम क्वालिटी कभी बना ही नहीं सकते क्योंकि हम इंडियन इंजीनियर्स इतने सालों तक ये ही बनाया है. I was shocked because I couldn't imagine that my engineering team could even think like that. And the person who headed it, the next 15 days, I was in a state of shock. The 16th day, I removed my chief engineer and appointed a younger person who would listen to me and not to the experience of his background that he came from, which was a negative thought to perfection. We got a young team of engineers from outside, and I took a consultant from outside by the name of Mr. Remigius, who is my father of civil engineering, who taught me, a chartered accountant, what civil engineering perfection was. So here was a guy who was elderly, he must have been 70 at that time or whatever it is. I'm talking about 89, he's no more now, but he's my guru who taught me how to do it perfectly. Well, let me fast forward from 1989 to 2019, okay? I have made 70 residential buildings in Powai. Not a single roof leaks. We give a guarantee for waterproofing of terraces for 10 years minimum. None of the bathrooms leak, even though they are all concealed plumbing. If there's a problem, I will repair it. If it cannot be repaired, we'll break it and redo it again. And we make perfect concrete. And it is a perfect job, and it is done by Indian engineers. So even my guru was an Indian engineer. The engineers who carried out this work were Indian engineers. The contractors have been Indian contractors. But there was an intent that I want to make perfect buildings. I will not compromise to make a second best building. And we have made 120 buildings in Thane, and none of those buildings also leak. We see to it that that problem does not exist in order to do so. So it is not that you cannot do it. It is because your mindset is such that we are incapable of doing it. The same engineers who make potholed roads in Mumbai are the same engineers who make in Dubai. And none of the holes will have potholes whatsoever. Come and see the concrete roads in Powai. Same engineers make Powai roads. Not a single one has got potholed in the last 35 years. Not a single pothole in a single road that will take place. So it is not about what you're thinking in terms of what it is. That chalta hai attitude of India must go. Every professional which comes out, the young people of today who come out, must commit that we will make perfect products. We will not compromise. It is unfortunately our history which has allowed us to be a chalta hai. 25 years ago, I was invited to the Mecca of Engineering Society, the Institute of Engineering building at Haji Ali, and I was supposed to come and say what I expect from the engineers of today. And I went there on the first floor hall, and I climbed up the stairs with a much more better prepared speech than I have got today. I was wanting to speak and tell them what it is, and I felt very honored that I was going there. But by the time I reached upstairs, I had tears in my eyes. I felt like crying. I had the picture of Vishwesharya, the father of engineering, a big picture of Vishwesharya there. And the steps that I climbed up had cracks in them. There were cracks on the steps of the Institute of Engineers building. I went up and I found that the tiles had uprooted because they had not been fixed properly. They had not kept proper spacing between two tiles of the whole thing. And I told them, I said, if you can make such bad buildings in the temple of engineering at Haji Ali, and you have got the guts to call me to ask me what I want from engineers, I said, the first thing I want you to do is repair this building and rectify what you have done so that any engineer that comes over here will not have a bad example of what you have done in the Institute of Engineering building. And that is the reason why I feel that I'm happy to address to you that you will not be that type of engineer ever in your life. Promise yourself that you will not be that type of engineer which does it, but you will be that different engineer which will commit to India, which will commit to yourself that you will make that difference and you will not compromise in order to make a third-rate building that we are used to getting it from those third-rate engineers who should be hanged up rather than be called an engineer. They are a splurge on the community. So whether he is a doctor, whether he is a chartered accountant, whether he is an engineer, a professional who comes out in this country must be an extraordinary person because he must do extraordinary things in order to be a part of this professional, a part of India which will make a difference, which will go into the next century, which will make us proud. Do you know when you go to America and you say you are an engineer, they look up to you. You come to Mumbai and you see the roads and you look down on the engineer. Why? Why is it that the doctor who goes to Dubai, or the engineer who goes to Dubai and makes beautiful building, and the engineers and IT spare professionals who go to America stand up in the whole world and people look up to them and say, wow, what an engineer. He can only be coming from India because he's so fantastic, that is what we are. Today, I wanted to share with you that a couple of things which I have learned, and I'll do it very quickly because I don't want to spend the whole night speaking to you. The first thing is information. You have lots of information available. You can Google information. You can have access to information, whatever it is. But if you do not educate yourself with this information and just treat it as information, it does not become knowledge. So a lot of people think committing by rote information is knowledge. It's not. It's the application of this information which is converted into knowledge. Until you don't use the gyan that you have to make better buildings, better roads, better products, better production, better things if you don't do, the application does not come out in the end. Your information is useless, thoroughly useless. Second important thing to learn is to update yourself every single day. Every single day of your life that you live, you should update yourself. And it's possible. So much online information is available, so it's possible to access new information and new data and new learning every day. And it's not so difficult to really learn new skills. It is easy to do so, which was not so possible maybe 20 years ago. The next important thing is to try and find solutions to problems. I find a lot of people take this problem and say, "Arey, ye problem hai." We start applying problems and solutions. I understand that you had the honor of having President Abdul Kalam come here for a lecture. The man arranged to have space, reach the space. You know what was his problem? His problem was that his budget was only 10% of NASA. So whatever NASA was doing for a space flight, his budget in India was only 10%. So what is his problem? Huge. He has a shortage of 90%. It didn't deter anybody. It didn't deter your Abdul Kalam. It didn't deter an engineer. An Indian engineer knew how to do with 10%, and at the end of it, he spent 12% and made that space same as NASA, equally good results, but it was only at 12% of the cost of it. That is the Indian engineer which is important. It is not the speech of Abdul Kalam which is important. It is to be able to identify a problem, seek a solution, and work towards it and say, never say die, I shall do it. There is nothing that is impossible. अरे हमारे पास ये फैसिलिटी नहीं है, ये बुक नहीं है, इसलिए मैं पढ़ नहीं सका, फला ने नहीं किया, ये नहीं किया, all bloody shit excuses that everybody gives for not succeeding or doing anything well in life. That's all bullshit and nonsense and untrue. It's your passion that you need to put in, and what is it that you look forward to the problem and look for this thing. The other part is timely solution. People बोलते हैं हम ये करेंगे, we'll find the solution to this road problem or that problem or that problem. हाँ, but we'll think about it tomorrow. हाँ, आज तो मेरे को पार्टी में जाना है. आज को, you know, I'm going to go out with my friends this weekend. We'll now discuss it. The timeliness of attending to issues is the most important thing. If you don't understand time management, and if you don't understand the timeliness to action, whether it's your sickness, whether it's a family problem, whether it's an issue, whether it's proposing to your girlfriend, all this has to be done timely and on time. Otherwise the girl will go to somebody else. So this is extremely important to think. The other thing which I've learned, which is a big secret which I'm going to share with you, is that if you want to learn anything new in the world, I repeat, anything. If I want to learn about spacecraft, I can learn it but in 10,000 hours. Now this is not research by me, but it's research by Harvard, Wharton, all those big learning universities have taught me that you can learn anything in the world that you want to learn, but you need 10,000 hours. Now, if I want to learn something new, do I have 10,000 hours to learn something new? The answer is no. Nobody has the patience or the insight to learn in 10,000 hours. So I looked up something else. I said, if I want to learn something fast, how much time do I really need to do? And I got solution. And I started using this solution. I'm going to share this secret with you. Very few people know this secret, but I'm going to share it with you so that all of you, 500, 600, whatever number are sitting over here, will know my secret of learning any new thing that I want in your life in a very short time. And I found that if you focus on something, anything new, and you want to learn it, you have to spend 45 minutes a day for 30 days, and you can learn a skill. Something which you don't know at all, you can learn completely in 30 days. And I'm going to share with you one of those things which I learned in 30 days. I come from a family of a father who struggled all his life. So we were not musical at all. We never had any idea of what music was. My mother was not musical at all. And in fact, we hardly had music in our lives. I love music in the sense I like to dance, I like to play, I love Bollywood songs, this, that, and the other. But I never ever picked up a musical instrument in my life. Now, when I read this, I said, this is not true. So let's find out what I'm supposed to do in order to learn something. And is it true, what I'm saying is correct or not? So I took a challenge on myself. What I thought is, can I learn something by spending 45 minutes a day, 30 days, over a period of 5 months? So not every day also. So I picked up something which in so many years of my life, I didn't know. I said, I'll learn a musical instrument. Now in 68 years, I've never touched a musical instrument. Never. Okay? So I said, let me see if something which I don't understand, I can now do. Now, can I do it by this? I need to have an objective. Why should I learn a musical instrument at this age? It doesn't make sense. So what did I do? I said, I have a grandson. In November, he's going to be 2 years old. Alright? So what will I do? I will learn the piano and play Happy Birthday to him. So I took the same thing, I went on the internet, started playing, but I couldn't. So I told one of my school teachers of one of my schools, can you send me a piano teacher? Send me a sexy Russian model. I had to throw her out because my wife would divorce me if she continued to be with me. So, and she came home on top of it, so you can imagine. It was quite a shock. My studying of piano would have gone. The piano, forget piano, I would be thrown out, but I would have been thrown out along with the piano. So that's another story. But leave that apart. Then I got another teacher who was teaching the nursery classes. You know, nursery class students, how to learn the piano. So I have done about 20 days of learning, 35-40 minutes a day on the piano. And I'm going to try and play it for you. Please, if I make a mistake, forgive me. Let me try. Share with you that I can now play Happy Birthday on the piano on the phone, and I've just done it 30-35 5 minutes a day for 20, 25 days, and I picked up a skill. So many times we are kind of hesitant to understand, can I pick up something new which I have totally unrelated to, which I don't know? But we get scared even within the subjects that we have, and we are very afraid of certain subjects. And we get scared, oh, I'm not so good at this particular subject. And we tend to avoid that subject in life, or this problem in life, or something over it. I may not be a perfect pianist ever in my life, but I can pick up a certain skill, and this is possible to pick up any possible skill that you want. If you want to pick up a language, it's possible to do that. If you want to speak any other thing, you can do it. But whenever you take up that, you have to be fully focused and think of something pleasant at the end of the time when you want to do it. It could be passing an exam, it could be learning a new subject, it could be anything that can really do it. The other part of it is really to be able to break up that skill into various parts. So for example, when I learned the piano, I picked up the same thing and I learned Happy Birthday with the single hand. And then I have even now started to play the chords. So on a big piano, I can play a musical instrument with both hands. So it's a different thing which I can do. And at age 68 plus 69 now, plus I still able to learn this, and this was simply because I knew that learning has no age, but the moment you stop learning, whether it's an engineering skill or it is any other skill set that you have to learn and imbibe yourself in life, there is no other way that you can possibly do it. What I wanted to share with you, my friends, is that I am proud of engineers. I've had the best engineers in my life in my company. They're extraordinarily fantastic. They have done beautiful buildings. We have done great MEP. We just did a building for Tata Consultancy Company, 2 million square feet in Thane, 2 million square feet, 16 stories with 2 basements in matter of 2 years. One of the fastest constructed, most beautifully engineered buildings in the world. Not in Mumbai, not in Thane, but in the world. It's one of the best engineered buildings in the world. And this wasn't told to me by none other than Mr. Chandrasekhar of Tata Sons, who was originally CEO of TCS. So it is our engineers. So while you should know what a professional is, what an engineer is, what the bad guys are, what the good guys are, we have to know that the paradigm of professionalism has to be inculcated in your blood. It should be part of your character. You should not bloody accept anything less than the best. Just like you would not like to have a nasty doctor not being able to give you proper medicine or take care of you, why should I have an engineer who is chalta hai and we should accept it? And I am very proud to tell you that I have the greatest of engineers in my team. We do the most fantastic jobs in the world, and we compete with the better than the best of the entire world, and we are very proud of all of you who turn out to be engineers of tomorrow. But I needed to tell you the whole story. Not because you should not know the story or know the story of the good and the great, but to also understand that if we slip, then we will look down not about other people, we will look down on ourselves. When I look into the mirror and I will have to say, I'm a good doctor, I'm a great doctor, I'm a good chartered accountant, I'm a good builder, and I'm a great engineer. So I wish you to be great engineers of tomorrow. I'm very proud of this college, the wonderful job that you're doing, the e-commerce work which has been done over here. I must compliment Dr. Shinde, Dr. Daruwala, and the entire team of this thing, and those who organized this conference, which is there for the next couple of days on of all entrepreneurship that is being done by the college. I wish each and every one of you all the success that you will have in your personal life, good health, happiness, and do a wonderful thing for tomorrow. All the very, very best with you. And if you have a few questions, I think I will be able to answer.
So for the first question, it would be a question that bothers a young entrepreneur in the early stages of their career, as to the way that you ventured into real estate, leaving possibly a surefire or safe profession in chartered accountancy. What is your mindset through that, and how did you weigh the pros and cons of heading into uncharted territory?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and all entrepreneurs in the world will always have this kind of a thing which is called fear of the unknown. So it's always, when you chart into new territories in terms of either getting a job profile into anything or in entrepreneurship, the only difference being that in an entrepreneurship, there's always a little more to lose. So the difference between taking up a professional career and a job and as compared to an entrepreneurship is that the leap into the dark is a little wider chasm than what it is. But even in a professional career, in terms of job opportunities, there is always a leap into the dark because there are always changes which are going to take place as far as the situation is concerned. But there is a major difference today as compared to what it was maybe during my time. First of all, there is no technology background which you have today. So a huge amount of new entrepreneurship idea is backed by technology. And hence an engineer is at an advantage in terms of getting into new entrepreneurship ideas because the technology background that you can bring as a young person is much more easy to get than you are doing. But every entrepreneur in the world is always challenged, irrespective of how small, whether he wants to put up a panwala shop or it is a big entrepreneur in terms of whatever else you want to take up. There's always going to be a fear that is there. Second, there's a good chance of losing a hell of a lot when you become an entrepreneur yourself, which is not so much when you get a good job or whatever it is. So you balance the two when you want to take up entrepreneurship. But once you leap in the dark and you have enjoyed the fun and the sun and the glory that it is to leap into the dark, you cannot go back because the fun of doing that is hugely satisfying. So it's a question of where you get your satisfaction from. Both the things are extremely good, nothing wrong with either thing. But the opportunity for the young today is much more. The funds available are much more. We didn't have any such thing where there would be startup opportunities of funding and other availability. And the leapfrog of technology which is available today did not exist. So the chances of your succeeding now is 10,000 times more than what it was during my time. But still, it's always a leap in the dark.
So the second question is, what would be your advice for an 18-year-old average teenager who aspires to be an entrepreneur one day and help make his world a better place?
First of all, have a lot of fun at that age because you may not be able to do it as much afterwards. That's the first advice that everybody should have. So enjoy your life completely. Don't ever compromise on that. Which does not mean you don't study, but you study hard and play hard and have fun hard. Please do both, otherwise you will have missed out the best parts of your life. As an 18-year-old, you will have long-term aspiration, but you have very short-term goals. Some of the short-term goals would be to get a job. Somebody's short-term goal would be to create a product, an idea and market it and try to see a startup which is available. It doesn't matter which direction you do. There is one more secret since this question has come up. I promise myself every single day of my life that I will do better than what I did yesterday. So, if I have made a speech today, if I make another speech in VJTI after 6 months, I promise myself, not you, that I will make a better speech after 6 months than today, because I cannot satisfy myself that my speech today will not be bettered by the speech after 6 months. And this is not only for this, it is for everything in life. I'll give you a second example. Age 48, Niranjan Hiranandani. I was working from 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night. Age 48, I go to my alma mater, Campion School, and they have a fun race, which is only 20 meters. 20 meters, big distance. So I run 20 meters. At the end of 20 meters, I suddenly realize, oh shit, I'm panting. After running only 20 meters, what will happen at age 60? I'm going to die. I'll get a heart attack. It will be impossible. How will I work? What will I do? And my life was just turning around at that point of time. It was just coming out to be a little better. And I was shocked at myself how bad my health was. I'd neglected it completely. I'll do a fast forward. I'm age 69. I'm repeating it too many times. But it is so. And let me tell you my change of my life. I gym every morning, 3 days a week, 1 hour with a proper trainer every single morning between 6 and 7, 3 days a week. 2 days a week I do yoga, 1 hour, 2 days a week. And 1 day a week I run 5 kilometers in Priyadarshini Park at Nepean Road this way. And I also do the 10 kilometer, 2 times marathon every year, and I run those since it's phenomenal. So age 48, I'm almost bloody dead man, dying, aged and whatnot. Today, I can run with you. So that's the difference. If you decide that I want to do something, and it doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what you're qualified in, it doesn't matter what your knowledge is, but as long as you're willing to make that difference happen, as far as this is concerned, it's all right. May 15th this year, I was 87 kilos. My trainer one day said, I'm going to stop training you. I've been telling you to reduce your weight, you're just not doing it. Last 2.5 years, you've just not reduced your weight, you're 87 kilos. I said, okay, I'm determined, I'm going to change it. Today I'm 80.5. So it doesn't matter what it is, no matter what happens to you in life. Just remember, you just got to make it. You must take the first step, and you must keep on improving that step every day. So the promise to yourself is, can I improve 0.25% every day? Can I improve this much every day? Can I improve a TV better? Can I make a better speech? Can I make a better product? What can I make my next building to be more beautiful than the last building? Can I make this building faster? Can I make it cheaper? Can I do a product innovation in the scheme? So if you improve yourself every day, it doesn't matter where you are. I promise you, you will be a great person and you will reach the moon because you have improved 1% every single day of your life at something or the other. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be cooking, it can be engineering, it can be legal, it can be whatever. Making roads, making buildings, making products, making whatever it is. It doesn't matter what you are. But if you improve yourself 1% a day, and remember, take the first step today, not tomorrow morning. We all tend to forget that the first step of that improvement must start today. My speech today has to be better than my speech yesterday. So I've done an IIT lecture 6 months ago. Please go and hear it, it's on YouTube. And my speech to you is better than that speech in IIT which I did 6 months ago. It's not a promise to you, it's a promise to myself. You think I'm doing it for you? No, I'm doing it because I have to become better. I must be improving myself. How can I be what I was 6 months ago? Stupid. How can it be? God has given me this mind, this character, this body, this intent, this possibility of doing better. Yes, we have a finite time in life. Birth and death. It doesn't matter. It's only what you can improve in between that is important. And once you improve every day, you will be a great man. You could be an astrophysicist who can make the moon, who can be Abdul Kalam and become the president. If a chai wala can bloody well become a prime minister, why can't you become any damn thing?
So the next question is somewhat more technical. So with the constantly rising prices of real estate in Mumbai, what would be your solution to ensure affordable housing for the future?
Talk to Prime Minister Modi, he's already got a project on. It's called Housing for All by 2022. Bombay region is going to be challenged, but 80-90% of India by 2022 will have affordable housing. We're also working with him for the project of rental housing, which you will see announced in the next 60 days. We have proposed that to the Prime Minister, and it's likely to be accepted. It's already on the website of the Housing Ministry that you must see. And on the basis of this, you will see something being announced on rental housing. So between rental housing policy and affordable housing project of the Prime Minister, in the next 3 years, you will see affordable housing happen.
Moving on to the philosophical point of view, well, according to you, what is the difference between a person who fails and a person who succeeds in life?
If you fail, you have an opportunity to get up and start again. If you succeed, it can go to your head and become arrogant. Don't become arrogant if you succeed. If you have failed, don't forget to get up and start walking again. So, you learn it from both the things. But the biggest problem is success. People become arrogant when they become successful. People think there is no need to improve whatsoever when they become successful. So many times people don't want to imbibe new technology. Friends, the greatest company on earth was called Kodak. Kodak made the best films and photography in the entire world. They were the first to have patents for digital technology. But they were foolish. They decided that we don't need to improve, we don't need to change, we don't need to adapt, we don't need to improve, we don't need to learn, and we don't think that anything is there. For 10 years they had a monopoly of patents, and they did not use it because they wanted to make more money out of films and prints and chemicals which they were doing. At the end of 10 years, when the patents expired, everybody else took over. And what happened? Kodak went into liquidation. One of the best companies in the world did not adapt, did not learn, did not change, did not improve. So if Niranjan Hiranandani does not improve, he does not change, he does not adapt. If he does not make his improvement, if he does not improve every day, he will become history. Today, by making Pawai, by making Thane, by making other projects, I create geography. But I will be past history which nobody will read if I don't improve every day. So you have to improve every day. Thank you very much for listening so patiently.